All right, today we're going to start talking about a new section in 7.1 called probability. I want you to take out your red pens if you would. There are 4 vocab words that I would like you to write down, so go ahead and put those in your notes for me right now. All right, the first word that you wrote down was an experiment. This is an investigation that has varying results. So basically, there will be different things that come out. You guys might do an experiment over here, but then you guys over here might have a different result than they did. All right, the next one is an outcome. An outcome is another name for the possible results of an experiment. Next, we have an event that is a collection of one or more outcomes. And finally, the favorable outcomes. This right here is the one that we're going to talk about the most today, the outcomes of a specific event. So it's the outcomes of what it is that you are looking for or what you want to happen. Let's answer some questions about the spinner that you see here on your notes. First off, you spin the spinner. How many possible outcomes are there? In order to figure out how many possible outcomes are on here, we have to count how many different spaces there are on our spinner. Let's count how many there are. 1, 2, 3, count with me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So guys, how many possible outcomes are on that spinner? 8. Some of them might be repeated, but there are 8 different spots on there of things that could happen because there are 8 different spaces on that spinner. Next, it says, what are the favorable outcomes of spinning an even number? This question is asking what are the outcomes. If you look back here on number 1, it said how many. When we see how many, we know that we want a number there. But now it's saying, what are the favorable outcomes of spinning an even number? Let me have everyone circle even number. Remember, even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Okay, something that ends in those numbers. So let's look over here and see if you guys can identify what the even numbers are. Nasir, give me one even number you see on there.
4.
A 4. What's another one, Autumn?
6.
A 6. Madison, what's another one? 2. Luke, there's one more. What is it?
4.
4. There's another 4. So here's what it says. What are the favorable outcomes of spinning an even number? We're going to write them from greatest or smallest to greatest. A 2, a 4, another 4, and a 6. So we're not going to say that there are 4 possible outcomes because it's asking us what are the favorable outcomes, or basically, what are the even numbers you see on that spinner? Let's go to the next one, number C. Letter C. In how many ways can spinning a number less than 3 occur? I want you to underline this. How many ways? Because of that, I want you guys to count how many ways you can find on here of something that is less than 2. Talk to your partner about it and see if you guys can find the answer. Guys, what number on there is less than 2?
1.
A 1. How many 1s do you see there? 3. So what about this number right here? Is that less than 2? No, that is 2. It's not less than 2. So guys, how many ways can spinning a number?
3.
There would be 3 different numbers you could land on there, and you would get something that is less than 2. All right, now we're going to look at a different idea. If you would, pull out your red pen, and I want you to just fill in that word probability. Probability has a definition. As you can see it here, it is the likelihood that an event will occur. Whenever you see this word likelihood, likelihood is going to be some words that you can identify with a percent. So let's talk about this one right here. If I say there is a 0% chance that that will ever happen, what word goes with 0% chance? Impossible. Who can raise your hand and give me some kind of thing in life that is impossible? It will never happen. All right, Autumn, I think that's a good one. It is impossible to swim across the entire ocean. Very good. Go ahead and grab a piece of candy. Who else can tell me something else that is impossible? 0% chance it will ever happen. All right, we've got another water example. It is impossible to run on water. There's a 0% chance that you will be able to run on water. Excellent. Okay, so that's a little bit to do with impossible. Let's go over here to the opposite. Certain, 100%. Who can tell me what is something that is 100% certain that every single time it is going to happen? Okay, she said there is 100% chance that the sun will rise. You are correct. That is for certain. Yes, that's another good one. 100% chance. It is certain that the earth is going to spin around the sun. Okay, so that's some examples of something that will certainly happen, 100% chance. Let's talk about this one in the middle, 50% chance. Read me what those words say, class. Equally likely to happen or not happen. Say it one more time. Equally likely to happen or not happen. How many of you ever heard someone say, there's a 50-50 chance that's going to happen? Okay, that's what they're talking about. It's right there in the middle. Now there's this other space from right here. We'll say that's about 1%. All the way to right here. What comes right before 50%?
49.
49%, okay? So there's this whole space right here in the middle. If it lands anywhere there, from 1% to 49%, that's the likelihood of it happening. What is it, guys? Unlikely, okay? Probably not going to happen. Let's talk about another one. If it's over here on the right-hand side, what comes right after 50%? 51%. So from 51% to what comes right before 100%? 99%. So we've got this space right here in the middle. What's the likelihood that it happens if it lands in between 51 and 99%?
75.
What word? What's the likelihood? Likely. That means probably. Okay, so what I want you to do is this little chart that I have given to you, we are going to memorize this so that you know if I ever ask you for the likelihood of something, you are going to give me one of these phrases or words that are right there. So let's do an example here. Describe the likelihood of each event. I want you to take your red pens and circle the word likelihood. As I said before, anytime you see the word likelihood, you are going to use these words that we have up here at the top of that chart. Here's what it says. There's an 80% chance of rain, there is a 50% chance of thunderstorms, and there's a 15% chance of hail tomorrow. So according to what our problem states, what percentage is there a chance of rain, class? 80%. Everybody write down 80%. Now let's go up here to our chart. 80% is going to land, I'd say, right about here. Class, what is the likelihood that it will rain?
80%.
Give me the word that goes with 80%. It is likely. So the answer here, everyone write, likely, and box it in. All right, now for problem B, it asks us about the thunderstorms. Reagan, what percentage does it say there is a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow?
50.
A 50% chance. Going back up here, we can see here's our 50% chance. Autumn, what words go with 50% chance?
Equally likely to happen and not happen.
You are correct. Okay, she said equally likely to happen or not happen. Anytime that it lands on 50%, your answer is going to be equally likely to happen or not happen. Remember, once again, anytime it asks us for likelihood is when we're going to be using these words that we see up here in our picture. Finally, Jace, what's the percent chance that there will be hail tomorrow? 15%. Nasir, if I say something has a 15% chance of happening, what is the likelihood that it happens? Unlikely. Okay, so instead of us saying probably not or never going to happen, I want us to all kind of have the same words that we're going to be using, which is why we're going to use the words likely or unlikely, certain or impossible, and then if it's that 50%, we're going to say equally likely to happen or not happen. Okay, let's turn the page. We're going to do another example. All right, so unfortunately, when we did our experiment, nobody actually landed it upright. But let's look to see what happens on this experiment number 3. You flip a bottle and you record the number of times it lands upright and the number of times that it lands on its side. Let's look up here and just identify the information it's given to us. Guys, how many times did it land upright?
2.
2 times. Now count up, how many times did they get it to land on its side?
23.
23. All right. Now, describe the likelihood that the bottle lands upright on your next flip. Everyone take your red pen, and I want you to underline that word likelihood. Remember, when you see likelihood, that means you're going to give me some words that describe, and those are those words that we talked about before. So there is a formula I want you to have. Favorable outcomes. Write this down with your red pen. Remember, favorable is simply what we're looking for. And we're going to take the favorable outcomes and divide it by the total number of tries that we tried to do this experiment. So favorable outcome. What are we looking for? Are we wanting it to land upright or on its side? Upright. Guys, how many favorable outcomes were there of this person where it did land upright? 2 times. So if we're favorable, we're going to plug in 2 out of, did anyone catch how many total times they flipped this bottle?
23.
Not 23. 25. How do we get 25? You're right. You had to add up the 2 we had here and the 23 we had here. If you add that total, you did it 25 times. All right, guys, do we know how to turn 2 25ths into a decimal? Divide it. You're right. Guys, what is 2 divided by 25? 0.08. Do we know how to turn that into a percent?
Yes, you moved the decimal.
Move the decimal twice to the right. So, guys, what percent would this be?
8%.
Is 8% my final answer? No. Remember, here's what it says. Describe the likelihood. Okay, so let's just remember what we've talked about when we have this little diagram from way before. All the way on the left was 0%. Remind me, guys, what was the 0% likelihood? What is it? Impossible. That means it's never going to happen. Let's go to the opposite over here. At 100%, what was that? Certain. Then we had the one that's really long right there in the middle. Guys, what was the 50% likelihood? Equally, what was it? Equally likely to happen or not happen. Then we had this space, which is all right here. What's that likelihood? What words? Unlikely. That means probably not going to happen. I'm just going to write this over it. That's unlikely. And then over here we had this space. What was that? Likely. So guys, where does our 8% land?
Unlikely.
Unlikely. So that is our final answer. It is unlikely that this person is going to, on their next try, actually land it upright. Let's just do another example together. Identify the outcomes of using the tiles shown. First question says, how many possible outcomes are there? Everyone underline with your pencil the words how many. That means we're looking for a number. Okay, so I want you to look at your tiles. Unfortunately, I think that the A that you have there on your page got hole punched through. So just know the one through the hole punch is a little A tile. Let's look at that, guys. How many possible outcomes are there on those tiles?
6?
No?
That's not 6. I can't count. 7.
Guys, how many tiles are there?
8.
8. So there are 8 possible outcomes because there's 8 different tiles there. Let's look at the next question.
Sorry, I can't count.
What are the favorable outcomes of choosing a vowel? I want everyone to underline the word what. That means I am looking for some specific things. If I'm looking for a favorable outcome, what do I want the tile to be right now?
A-E-I-O-U.
A-E-I-O or U. I'm looking for the vowels. So what are the vowels? I don't want a number. I want to know what they are. Abigail.
Another A, and an E.
Excellent. There are 2 A's, so they are both favorable outcomes. And finally, there was one extra, an E. Let's go to the next one. In how many ways? Everybody underline the words, how many ways? Am I looking for the specific tiles or am I looking for a number?
A number.
I'm looking for a number because it says how many. Anytime you see how many, that's a number. In how many ways can choosing a consonant occur? I want you to circle the word consonant. Basically, what we're doing right now is identifying what we're looking for. A consonant is simply not a vowel. So we are looking for the things up here that are not a vowel. Jace, name something that's not a vowel.
I didn't know that.
D. What's another one, Nasir? B. What's another one, Madison? A C. What's another one, Jocelyn?
B.
Another B. Ellie, what's another one?
B.
B. How many different ways could we get one of those, guys?
5 ways?
5 ways. There were 5 different ones up there. Okay, so we know it would not be if we chose an A, an E, or another A, because those are not consonants. All right, for the next one, describe the likelihood of the event. I want you to take your red pen, once again, identify what it is we're looking for. We're looking for likelihood. Remember, likelihood is going to be those words that we had. I want you and your partner to do A and B together. First things first, it says your baseball team wins 2/5 of the time. Guys, 2/5, if you were to put that into your calculator, divide it out, you would get 0.4. You need to change that into a percent. What would that be as a percent? 40%. Here's what I saw. There were 3 or 4 of you that said equally likely to happen or not happen. Guys, 40% is not an equal chance. It has to land exactly on 50%. So guys, what's the likelihood if something is a 40% chance of happening?
Unlikely.
It is unlikely, meaning it's probably not going to happen, okay? Next up, the probability that it rains tomorrow is 12%. What's the likelihood, class?
Unlikely.
Unlikely. Now, some people might have written very unlikely because 12% is a lot smaller than our 40% up there. But I just need to see the word unlikely. Honestly, it's unlikely it's going to happen. All right, for our last problem today, it says an account earns simple interest. Find the interest that was earned. There were problems that were similar to this on our test yesterday, and I want to go through where some people went wrong. Let's start first with the formula. What formula do I need, guys? I equals PRT. I want everyone to write this down.
Are we doing this together?
All right, so let's just identify and make sure we know our I, P, R, and T. If you go up here, in the instructions it says find the interest. So do we know the I?
Nope.
No. Use those clues to help you know. Okay, I is just going to be left as an I because we don't know it yet. The principal, or the P, is our starting amount. Jocelyn, how much money did we start off with? $480. Then we know the R stands for the rate. The rate will always be a percent. Luke, what is the percent we see here? 1.5%. Reagan, what do we have to do with our percent? Change it to a decimal. So it goes 2 times to the left. Reagan, when you do that, what is the new decimal?
0.015.
Very good. A lot of people forgot to change their percent to a decimal on the test yesterday. Here's the next mistake a lot of people made. The time. It tells me 3 months. Many people yesterday said, oh yeah, 3. But the time has to be in years. So I need to know what part is 3 months of the whole year. How many months are in a year? 12. So we're going to divide it by 12. If you reduce 3/12, what is that?
1/3.
1/4. What would 1/4 be as a decimal? 0.25. Now we are ready to plug things in. So on the right-hand side, I'd like you guys to write I equals P times R times T. And I want you to work with your partner to find the interest that was earned. As I walked around, about half of you got this correct. So we've got I equals 480 times 0.015 times 0.25. This is what I saw from a lot of you. You plugged that into your calculator, you got 1.8, and you're like, yes, I did it. Guys, interest comes out as money. So you need to have a $sign. But beyond that, a lot of people left it on their test like this. How many numbers have to come after that decimal point?
2.
2. What number are we missing in that little spot?
0.
So what's the correct answer, class?
$1.80.
$1.80.
That right.
So tonight's homework is 7.1, and it is 10 problems.
That was so